And so welcome to everybody. And then today here, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little, so it's going to be cool. We're going to do a little hack, kind of, but it's kind of a Rust utility that I always use all the time and it's only mine right now. And for a friend of mine, I need to give it to him. And so rather to do it and record it, I'm going to record it from scratch, cleaning up a little bit, and such as everybody can benefit it. And I'm going to explain what it does here. And so basically, it's kind of a Mac thing for me, but you could make it work on Windows and Linux, I think, because we're going to use a crate, which is keyring, and that will allow us to basically get password into the terminal, which then from the KeyChain on Mac or the security stuff on Windows or whatever. And so that really allows us to have all of these API keys every time that I go to a terminal. It's kind of a pain because I don't want them global because that is not safe. And copy paste from one password is a pain. And this one is pretty cool because it's in KeyChain and then we can inject it. So I'm going to show how it works here. The crate that we're going to use for that guy is going to be these things, keyring. And this is a pretty cool crate. And it allows you to connect to the OS operating system key store. Yeah, so on Mac is KeyChain. Now Mac has password. So that adds a little bit of confusion. But this works pretty well with KeyChain for now. And I think it's working on the 4.0. So perhaps there is password as well there on Mac. I don't know. But on the KeyChain, it works pretty well. So here's a way I use it. So I go to any terminal I have. So I've created this guy here. And I'm going to put it somewhere in the repo. So in the YouTube video, if you go back to it, I will put the link here in the repo. We might do that at the end, such as you have it. But the goal here is usually, if I use, for example, AI pack and if I AIP check keys, and I'm just using that because that doesn't print the keys, it just print the values, if there is a value or not. So all of these keys are not there in the environment variable. So then I could kind of copy paste from one password again, put it there. That is a pain because I use AI a lot in many terminals. I can put it global. This is a big no-no here for security reason. We do not want to have our keys in the global for everybody on Windows or Mac or whatever. That is a big no-no. What we want is to import it there. And so I have this little thing, which is jkeys, which is kind of a hack. I don't know what the J is behind. And then when I do that, it's going to pop up something like that. Yeah, and that will actually, this is actually, oh, funny, it doesn't. This is actually the key store of Mac, KeyChain. It's not password yet, it's integrated with a KeyChain. And so now I'm going to enter my password. And then I'm going to click allow. Don't click always allow because otherwise it will always allow it. So I like to click allow. And now if I do this guy, again, I'm doing that such as I could do a env grep, but it will show my password. And then boom, I have all of that. So they're all set up and I'm ready to use AI. I could use that for anybody else. So the way it works here is that if I go to my KeyChain, yeah, so KeyChain is a pain to open, so I'm going to, because they are hiding it now. I'm going to put a README here, and then to open the Mac KeyChain, you open it like that. So today what we're not going to do is we're not going to write to it. We could use it, but we're going to be a very simple command line, which once, so if I do that, and that will be my KeyChain somewhere. Okay, now that's confusing. Somehow Did this guy disappear? I just had it. The reason why I'm confused now, I cannot. Oh, no, Touch ID. Okay, it's super confusing because they try to make us use password, but the keyring doesn't work with password. So here I have to press it with my fingers, and here I have all my password and all the items and everything. So this is the way it works. Now, one thing I can do is, and it's not going to display the data here until I do the thing. So this was the legacy one here of the AI pack. It's pretty small. I don't think I can make it bigger. But the point here is what we want. So the hack that I've been doing, which is pretty cool, is you create something, and I think I have a JC test. Do I have a JC test? Yeah. So you create a new guy here. This is crazy. Continue on this one, we got this one. And so you have the item name, which is a service name, and then the account name, which is the account name. So what I do here all the time, and listen, it's pretty cool. I do, for example, I do JC test 02. Okay, so that will be our service. We're going to keep it there because I never have a memory here. So service is called service account in the thing. JC test 02, okay? And then here, the way that I do it to have all of my APIs, because I don't want to have to go one by one. I'm going to have the account name. I'm going to say, JC account 01. And I can have multiple like that. And we're going to see how that works later. So it's account name. So the name is a little bit weirdo. And then as a password, here's what I set it. I'd say export, and I'm not going to put the keys, obviously, but I'm going to say, JC open AI keys, OpenAI API key, I think is like that, yeah? And then I will do something like that, equal, SK, blah, 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 yeah? And then I will actually put all of those guys here, JC. I wouldn't put JC, I just put JC because I don't want it to override with my guys. Gemini, with my own keys, because they are there now, my keys. And so something like that. So I want it to do this. I need to be careful here to what I show. So if I put that there, then when I do a inf grep JC, okay, now it's going to give me all of those two guys, which is what I wanted, yes? And so now the trick here in Rust or in any programming language is we cannot have a child process cannot set the environment variable for the parent. So the use case here, again, is when I do a JKeys like that, I want it to pop up like this. This is my password of my computer, and I do allow, and then magic. Without saying it, we have the keys injected. Yes, so this is why if I do a AIP, check keys, because I don't want to show the value, they're all there. Yeah? So now the way to do that in Linux, and I think probably, I don't know if in Windows, is the little trick is to have something like that, where you do a source. So, I'm sorry. In your DSH kind of config, you put an alias like that. You do alias JKeys. So we're going to do A keys, okay? So it's AI keys, source, and then you pipe whatever the command line is there. And so this one is hard-coded for my OpenAI keys in the things, and they do all the export. So then suddenly, when I do JKeys, I have all of my API keys inside my environment variable. And so now I'm like secure, like KeyChain secure. And then I can inject it in all my environment variable, and I don't have to open one password and everything. So I open it I store the thing in one password, but then I copy it, put it in KeyChain, and then I have all the export. I put that, all the export like that. So today what we're going to do is, what we only want to do is to redo this guy and make it a little bit more flexible perhaps, such as we can pass some parameters. So for example, it will be something like that, jkeys, and then account. I think that will kind of work. And if I do, well, I'm not going to do that because I don't want it to print by mistake. But this is what we want to do, is rather to have JC AI keys, which is one of my crate. I'm going to code one now, and we're going to call it KeyCli. Okay, kind of boring name, but that's good enough. So hopefully that kind of set the context of what we want to build. So two things that we want to have is we are going to have, so I think, did I put that here? Yeah, I didn't put it there. So I'm going to put S key and then J key. Okay, whatever. This is the two values that we want there. So I will copy that like that, as is. We'll show password, and then I will press save. Boom. And so now it's my keychain. It's kind of secure and everything. Is as secure as any other password. And so now what we want is to be able to do an alias. We're going to call it the A key, and then is going to be the key CLI, dash CLI, whatever. And then we're going to say that this one takes two parameters, that and that, which is a service account and the account name. That's the way it works. The nice things about that is later, if, for example, you are working with personal keys for your own, and then you have another one which will be a work keys. Yeah, you make two aliases, and then I will say JC work. Yeah, and then here, or I can put it in JC test there, and then I can do a JC work keys, whatever. Yeah, so you get the point. So that is very silly, but then it's super useful. So what we're going to build here is this guy. Yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. I'm not going to commit this one. So what I have in my git ignore, I ignore everything that starts with dot. So my best practice is I do a dot nots.md, and I put all my dirty stuff there. I don't need to think about it. And so this one, we're going to cleaning it, and we're going to create a small CLI that extract a password from KeyChain, put it in the std out. This is what we want. It's very simple. Yeah, we just take it out and things. I'm going to do a git add, because this is a new file, git c, and initial readme. Okay, boom, we have that. Now, what we're going to do is we want to start a project. So what we know that we're going to use is we're going to use that guy, keyring, which allows us to have a cross-platform library to manage storage and retrieval of passwords. So it's exactly what we want. Again, on Mac now, they have this password, which is another app. I'm not sure that this one supports it. I think the next one will probably support it, hopefully. But right now, this is fine, as long as you know how to open it like that. And I will put that in the README. So now we're going to start this guy. And in fact, I have, because I've done my JKeys, which is my stuff over there. Now I have the API keys here, so I can do API, AIP, which is AI pack business, and check keys. I have all the keys, and I'm going to do AIP run pro at coder. So that is a way that I code. Again, this is not vibe coding, because you show that to a vibe coder, he would get sick very fast. So the point here is I'm going to bootstrap my things, and because I have installed my Rust 10x over there, I can do that. I'm going to do a cargo 2ml is going to be small for now, so I can keep this guy there. That is fine. And I'm going to say, I'm going to use Gemini. The Pro is good. I'm going to do true. And then G Pro, which is my alias over there. And can you start a Rust project following the Rust 10x best practice. Name will be KeyChain. We'll use clap. But yeah, we'll do something like that, okay? So we press run. I could create it by hand as well, but this is relatively fast. So we're going to create the things, and that will create a nice little kind of a blueprint over there. And then the other stuff that we're going to also use, crates.io, and we're going to use clap. So that is the other one that we use. Sometimes I don't use this one all the time, but this is, well, yeah, I do use it most of the time. In some of my crate, I don't use it, but usually I regret it just after. So we're going to use that. Gemini 2.5 has been pretty slow for me for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. And if it's too slow, we're going to do it manually. I don't really care. Okay, this is silly slow here. I think, oh, okay, done. Okay, so that is my best practice, and it's exactly the way I created KeyChain. 2004, we do the unsafe. We forbid ourselves to do unsafe. If you haven't done 10 years or 15 years of C++ experience, I wouldn't do any unsafe. My C++ experience was way too far back. So I don't give myself authorization to do that. This is a toggle on and on, so probably will allow the unused for now. We're going to use clap. This is good. And then we're going to use another section. So that is a little bit my practice where I cut it in sections like that. And then I'm going to say key business. And that will be, we're going to take the keyring, this guy. Okay. Oh, that's funny. And in fact, I do think that there's a feature business that you want to have there. So we're going to do that. And that is where you could enter your Windows native. We're just going to do it the Apple way right now. Up. And then you can do the stuff. It always takes time to understand how the thing works. For example, on Apple, it takes time to find out that it doesn't work nice with password. It works on KeyChain. So now that we have this, what we're going to do is our Rust analyzer is complaining. This is interesting. So what I do typically is I pin this guy, go back there. So I have this AIP over there, and I do a cargo build to understand what's going on. Maybe just a VS Code. Sometimes VS Code, when you update things from the back like that, you get confused. So you do a reload, and then it should be happy now. Yeah, it's happy. Okay. So we are that, and we did a reload, but somehow VS Code keep that guy's running when it's running, so we don't need to reset the environment. Now that we have this, we're going to work on this. Click commands, good. Command gen. I'm not sure I want that. So this is exactly my best practice. I love to have derive more. So I use derive more with display. Then I have a type alias like that. And then I have my custom string, which I make very flexible at the beginning, like string, reference of string, reference of str. This is an example here, which we probably don't need it. But this is a way that I will put externals. If we had externals, so I think keyring will be one of these guys. We are just going to do that, actually. We can do that, and we'll do a key ring, and I'm going to, I just wanted to make sure I got the, and then hopefully has the error here. Yeah. Because we're going to use it, so like this, it will have the from automatically. And that's cool, it kind of removes the boilerplate. So it's pretty good. Then I have custom here, custom from error. So this way I'm very flexible. Or I have this custom as well that takes it if I need to put some things that can get into a string. So that is what I have as a practice. And in a way, many ways, once you do that, it's not as flexible as anyhow, but it's quite there. But you already have the right structure for your custom error as you are going to grow the code. So that's why I love to have this way of doing things. Okay, so that is the thing. So now that we have this and the main, am I happy with the main? Follow my best practice again, because I have my Rust 10x in my coder prompt over there. CLI error, this is good. This is good. And that is good. And that is good. Now it does a parsing, and then it does a command and stuff. Now, do we need to have a command? So now we're going to test it. We do a cargo run dash. Well, we do a cargo run. We're going to see it should complain. Yeah, it doesn't complain, but it tells us, hey, this is the way you use it. So now, obviously, with the context that I give to the AI, he thinks that we're in the business of creating prompt keys or generating keys, which we are not. It's not the goal. So that's why I did that. Now, my question in my head is, do we need to, Sergey, welcome. Hey, Sergey, nice to have you here. Thank you for the kind words. So now in my head, I'm saying, well, do I want to have this business of subcommand, or I don't want subcommand? The reason why it's kind of important to ask early, because if you start without and then you add it later, it's kind of a pain. So we are going to add, so in my current one that I have over there, I don't. Yeah? So this one, this guy here, just AI key is super ugly, and it's just hard code everything, just give the things and then that's it. And that is very cool, yeah, in Rust, because you can do this little utility, and I can show it you here. There's nothing secret about this one. It's there. Yeah, let me snap it there, I guess. This is just silly, yeah? I have the service name over there. I have the account name over there, fully hard-coded. I get the entries, that's the way it works. We get the password, and then we get the stuff, we send the error back, and then we print in the content. That's it. This is basically the little hack that I have. And so now I want to make it a little bit flexible, because if we make it more flexible, then we can have different keys. You can have a key for work, a key for things, and you can use this little technique. It's not something that you will use if you're not a developer, because you have to do the shell alias and everything, and there's no other way than doing the shell alias. You cannot call this and expect that to be in the environment variable. That will give you back the password, but then you need to do this guy here, this source guy. Yeah, so that is the way I use it in my shell. Yeah, so in your .zsh or whatever, yeah, you do this alias and then it's fine. And we might have to do, no, it might be okay. So right now we're saying key CLI, and then we're having our account and then the name. The account name and the service account and the service account name. One thing we might do is have a command, because again, if you don't put a command, then you're like, it's a pain. So you can do a key CLI get. That will be nice, yeah? We do a key CLI get, and then we give two guys, and that is the way it works again, yeah? Because in KeyChain, there's these two things which keyring mimic it. So I think that is a good one. So we're going to take that, Press save again. I am in my node here. They are not checked in. So I need to be careful because there's no history on these guys. But usually I put my, bags of things there that I don't want to commit. And so now what we want is to have the gen here. Could go with AI or I could go manually. I don't really care. I have no hard feeling AI either way, and I will really recommend anybody to not have hard feeling. Vibe coding is silly. We know it's silly, but we shouldn't go to the other extreme to not use AI. We are shooting ourselves in our foot. So we should let people hit the wall fast with vibe coding, and then we use AI to do production coding. And then we'll be the good guys at the end. So the thing here is I'm going to do this one here, gen. So we don't want gen. We want probably a get. Yeah. Okay, we're going to do a get. Get like that. And get command is not implemented yet. And that is a CLI, which usually I like it. So that is the way it works, but I like to call it arg. This is just, I call it arg. That is just my best practice because CLI sometimes has more. Arg is just the arguments. These guys, the command. Yeah, so I put all of the type like that. I'm going to save all. And that commands, we have the command get the key value. And then what we're going to want to do is that we want this command to take two parameters and to require two parameters. Yeah, so this is what we want. So we're going to do a git add. I'm going to do a cargo run dash get. Okay, so we do a cargo run and then we do a get. So now I should say get not implemented. If we do a gen, that should be kaboom, it say whatever. And then if we say nothing, it should give us a help. So everything is working very nice. So git c, which is git commit -a-m. I have quite a bit of aliases, dot, which is minor, and then I'm going to say initial infra, CLI infra. Okay. Okay, boom. We have that. So now I have my arg, I have my things, and I want this guy here to actually take this command to take two values. So there's two ways of doing it. And again, right now is we're on the clock, we know quality coding, so it doesn't matter who is writing what. Okay? So I'm going to go there, and in my head, I'm going to say, okay, clap. And I don't, so I go to examples, love the example stuff, and then I have see, I'm a little bit confused now. So I could go C2 apps, MD, I don't know why they have. So what I will do here, I will do something like that. So that is a CLI, that's the command. And I will actually do like this. I will probably do light. Light is super fast. So light is this guy. Yeah. And it's virtually free. Our previous request was 6 cents. And now I say, I want the exec, the get command to take two string service account, and then, and I think if we go to the keyring here, service account and then the account name. I don't know if they have that. We can change it later. And then account name. For example, CLI, my account, account 01. Okay. This, no, that is my service account, and then account 01. Okay, I'm going to go back this one. I can say replay here, or I can do a command R because I have command R wired to the things. The light is too fast, it's scary fast. So I play with light these days because sometimes it's actually doing stuff. And somehow 2.5 Pro kind of got slower, and the light is just crazy fast. It's 1 second. I'm going to see if the guy kind of completely. So always make sure you have a clean Git. Keyring account name, keyring. Oh, wow. That works. No, okay. This guy, okay. It's hallucinate a little bit. Yeah, funny guy. Okay, well, okay. So I go back here, git restore, dot. Light is cute, but light is not that good. We're going to go back there, G Pro. Okay. And I have cargo, source to ML. That will be good. I go back there. If I should save here, make sure that you don't have any commit. Go back here, run. And so that will go as a thing. So what we want here is to make sure that the get that we have, the argc here, has two parameters. And I'm not really sure how to do that. Now, if it's slow, what I will do in my thing, I will go to my AI pack CLI, yeah, in a way. So the last CLI that I did, the big one. And so that is a big code over there. And then I will go to, I think I have the same. So this one, it's the, this is a 30,000 line of code. Okay, so it's a little bit more involved. We have the CLI over there. We have the args. Here I didn't say argc. But that I can see that we have the CLI command, and then it takes, okay, it takes one of the guy as a child. And that is where we have our struct. Now the question is, if I have two things, how do I say I have two? That is not the thing which is not clear. So let's see what he did. He did that. Interesting. Okay, so that is what he did. Does compile. Now it's being a little bit too fancy over there. So that's fine. So what we're going to do here is to say, we are not mad at you. Is not get password. That's funny. Get. That is not this, but one thing I just want to do at this point, I'm going to keep the code here. I want a little bit ahead of what I asked, but that's fine. I'm going to do a 1p, which is a debug print. That is part of my Rust 10x extension. But you can have that. So you have a lot of little snippets that I use all the time. And so that's my debug print. And we're going to do a service account. And then we're going to do an account name. Okay. That is going to be the things. And by the way, I didn't know that that will work. So that's pretty cool. Now, the thing I don't understand is how does he know which one is first? This is something I don't understand. I think it's the order of the things that will be terrible. So there's something I'm not really sure about that guy. Get the key value for a given stuff. Okay, we're going to do that. And we're going to go cargo run. So cargo run dash dash get, and that should kaboom, yeah? They say, hey, no. So SE So we're going to the SCC and then SCC name. And now we should have that SCC name. Now, the thing I don't like about this, and here I'm coding like if I were going to code alone. So everything I'm doing here is what goes through my head, trying myself to speak more of what goes through my head, such as those live goals a little bit. They have more content, basically. So the things that I don't like now, and I don't like when I don't understand things. Yeah, and this one here, I don't understand, and there's always going to be things that I'm not going to understand. Oh, the chat is hidden, sorry. Same pleasure watching West Africa. Hey, Luis. Oh, that's cool. We build the first stuff. Yeah, I need to go back to my Axum lesson over there. But we'll go there. We'll get there. I might have a new client for a pretty big server and pharma and stuff, so I might, do stuff. I might resume. I mean, the code won't be open source, but I might resume the open source Rust web app because I need to beef it up. So, and update it. So the thing I'm saying is, the thing I don't like about this at all, I really do not like it. So right now it works. But what if we're going to put that there? And it might, yes, and actually it's the order, because we're doing a subcommand there, and so that will probably derive, and then you get the thing in order. So if I do that, it will reverse it. So I'm not a big fan of that. I will need to think about a way of doing a better way. I am from France, moved here in San Francisco in 1999. I'm old. And I haven't lost my airport accent. So there's good and bad about it. The good news is when I ski in Tahoe, people take me for a tourist. And so they don't think that I know where I go. So that's nice. So I get the powder. So the thing I'm saying is, yes, a tuple maybe. Yep. Void byte, awesome. This is what I was thinking about. So let's try that. But then I don't like it because, because now it's not name. But we're going to try that just to understand it. Okay. And in this case, what we'll do, okay, well, first we're going to commit this guy. Okay, so that works. So we're going to do git c update get with service account and account name. Okay, this works. If it works, we'll make a big note and say, so now, like you say, void byte, we're going to go to a tuple. That will be a better way. I mean, that nothing is perfect. String. And the library is awesome. Yeah, so I'm not saying at all that the library is not good. And then kaboom. Well, that's interesting. That should work. Yeah, this is a valid enum. If I do a pub enum dd get string. Yeah, that's fine. So that's fine. So we're going to press things and git restore. I use git restore a lot in every time. So we're good. We're going to be happy, and we're going to say important. Make sure service account is before below. Okay, so that's fine. Hey, Lomix. We're doing something completely different right now, but it might be useful for all of you. This is what I use a lot, is again, if I can do a little update, if people came late, is we're going to do a little utility that extract from your keychain in a Mac, but you can use it otherwise. So you can use keyring, and then it does a println. And then with a little hack, which is going to be something like that, where you do an alias, and you do your name, so A keys or whatever, and that will source, and then we call our key CLI get and whatever service account and the account name. And then over there, we put all of the export. So the value of this won't be the password, won't be the keys, has to be the export. And then that goes back. And that allows me that if I wanted to use AI here, if I do AIP check keys, I don't have the keys, but if I do J keys, which is my guy using my little hack, I get that, and then I enter the password, and now they are inside my environment variable. So that is what we're doing today, which is pretty cool. So we're going to be happy with that. It's something to note. I understand the create command. I don't think they had a smarter way of doing it, so I think they did it the right way. Just it's always scary to have ordering kind of things, but we put the notes and we know it is the case. Now, on this guy entry thing, yeah, by the order of the declaration, yes, and that is the thing that I didn't like. Yeah, so the order of the values, yes. And so when I move it up, we got it the reversed, which makes sense. And it makes sense because this guy, when you develop a proc macro, they get it in the order, and I think he's guaranteed to get it in the order of declaration. And so that's good. Usually dictionary-like kind of stuff is not guaranteed. But I think is when you do it, you get the list, you don't get a map. So I think it's guaranteed, I hope. Because, well, it has to be, because otherwise it wouldn't have done it. So we're doing that, git log, and this we can amend. We just put the thing there. So now that we have this, go back there. I don't need AI at this point. AI kind of messed up here, so they will mess up. So rather to bang myself with AI, I don't care. Again, the goal is to not care who write code. The guy here is doing this, and then he's doing a get password. And that is correct, no? Okay, so we're going to do that slowly. And so what I do as well, I'm going to show you here. I think I have. Let me show you notes. Okay, so this is where I have all my my silly shell aliases and everything, and I have a CWR somewhere. So this one is a big one, CWT that I share, and then a CWR is here, cargo watch, and this one. So I like quiet, clear, watch, source by default, and then we can do that. And that most of the case, it works nicely. But in fact, in this one, it won't work. Okay, sorry. In this one, it won't work because it will do the run, and then I won't be able to add things. So I have also a CW, which is just doing that faster. I could use Bacon, but I was using Bacon, but actually like Cargo Watch. I went back to Cargo Watch. The fact that there's nothing and it's just print and you can clear is pretty nice. So I do a CW-X, so Cargo Watch and -X. And another good one is also Watch exec, I think, which has the same similar kind of thing. And -X run --, and we're going to do S01 and A01. Okay, S for service account and A for account. And that should kind of not do anything. And because we don't have the get, and then boom, we have that. So that is what I like. Usually I do this, and I like when I am here in this mode where I can just kind of iterate fast. Nice feature. I am super happy with the new API. My Cloud Code clone works well now. That's cool. And you should use AI Pack. It's very cool, but it's cool to use your stuff. So entry things, and then so that should work, no? Why it doesn't work like D? So D is because it's below my finger. And then I do toggle like that. And then, oh yeah, okay, fair enough. I need to do a question mark over there. Okay, that's fair enough. So I need a question mark. This is an entry, and now I have this. And so now I have the password. And then I have a question mark. And I'm going to say PWD, which is going to be our key value. For us, we're not treating password because it's not a password per se. And I say no entry, yeah? Which is normal because there's no entry. So now what we did before, if you remember, and so we're going to do a println and PWD. So I have to make sure here that I'm not passing things that I shouldn't pass, because otherwise I'm going to have to reset it. So obviously that fails over here, I think. The reason why it works nicely is because in my error, I knew that I have this best practice where that is my type. I always start with custom string. That is ugly. And that is ugly. The point is to get rid of that. But this is a good start. The from derive more allows me to have derive more from for everybody, which is pretty cool. And then we did this from querying here. So that works nice. If I were going to comment that, it would be kaboom over there because it cannot compile, yeah? It doesn't have a from. So I do that, and then it works nicely. And I like to have a space. So that is a thing, and we do not have an entry. Now, before, if you have seen it, we have created two guys. I mean, we have created our service account, and so the way, again, you do it, and I'm going to put that in the README. You have this. Let me put that in the README, actually. Yeah. So that is a way you can also do with the other guy, the search on Mac. But it's hidden now from the application. But if you do that, then it will go there, and then you can create. So I created, what do I created? I created notes. I created GC test 02. Okay, GC test 02, and I'm sorry it's small, but I cannot make it this guy. Okay, so you create one like that. They will ask you to, and then you give the service name, service account name here, and your account name, and then the password. The trick is the password. I don't put the password of the key because then I don't want to print it. Yeah, and so I put the export. I print this because I print it, but I don't see it because this one is eating it and is putting it in my terminal. So that should work pretty nicely on Linux. On Windows, might work probably on PowerShell, I think. So that is what we did. And in fact, if we go to my test 2, you see, you have this guy, and that is my account over there. And then you do a show password, sisters, and then I'm going to have to change this one now, and then I'm going to have that. Yeah. So that is one of the things here that you can have all of your export, and this trick is putting it back there. So that is what I'm doing. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this, and we have that. And if we do our command line and razor to, so I'm going to go to my notes, and now I'm going to do, so all of that is dirty things, is my notes. I can copy it quickly. And in fact, I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to copy it. Copy here. And cargo watch, run, and get, and the service account is this guy, and then things. Again, don't put space. I mean, except if you want, if you like to make your life hard. I don't know if you can, but even if you could, don't put space. There's no reason to have space on these guys. I don't know why. And now if I do that, look at that, it's going to give me ask my password. It's nice. And then I'm going to press allow. So I could press allow, always allow, but if you do that, then you need to recompile your beast, the command line, the binaries, such as it asks you next time. So me, I like when you ask me next time, because otherwise if someone comes to my machine, then they can have all of that. Now, I don't know why you asked me twice this time, but often it asks me only one after, and boom. And so now that I have this, yeah, I can do an alias like that. Yes, if I do an alias, a key, so if I do a keys, it's going to complain. But now if I do a key like that, so I need to go back. This one was very simple. So I don't want to print that because it's going to get confused. And now I print the password. But because in my little practice here, the password is what I need to set to source, then I'm happy about it. So I go back. So I'm going to go back to my cargo thing. And if I do, okay, sorry, I'm thinking about what I'm going to tell you what to do. So there's a couple of ways. So we know now that we have the cargo watch that runs. Yeah. So if we do cw-x, so if we do this one, we should get the export now. Yeah, so I do that. And it recompiles all the time. So I think this is why there's two, but eventually there will be one. So now I print that is exactly what we want. So now what we can do, and this is what I do a lot, when I do those little utilities, it's driving me crazy. When I do those little utilities, what I like to do is that cargo watch dash x, or I do quiet, dash clear, dash x, install, dash dash, dash dash path, that, I think I do that. No, I think, yeah. And that is magic, because now you are in a Python world without being Python, meaning that every time, like sometimes I have utilities for editing my videos and everything. I have a lot of utilities that slice the video at the frame level with FFmpeg and everything. So I have a whole crazy stuff. And it's all done in Rust. And the reason why it's so fast is because once you are efficient in Rust, and yes, you have 3-6 months where you have to learn the beast, but once you know the beast, you can be very efficient. And then you have a cargo watch install like that, and every time I press save on any of these files, it will install it and reinstall it in my global cargo bin kind of things. And so now I can have access to anywhere. I can go to another terminal, and now I can have this key guys. Yeah, what is the name? KeyChain. And then it's there. And I can have a KeyChain get. And then I'm going to say, because I don't have any memory, I'm going to back to my dirty notes over there. And I'm going to do a KeyChain of these two guys. Yep. And then I have a nice little thing here, and I'm going to do a up, and then boom, give me the stuff. If I do that, I don't know why it does twice, but then that's it. Yeah, so it does these kind of things, and then I have it anywhere, but I could open an external one, and I will always have that. So now if I do a env grep jc, need to be careful here because I have no JC guys. Yeah, so those guys hasn't been imported. Now, if I do my little hack, which is going to be cool, I'm going to do a source Okay, I'm going to create this alias. So that I'm going to put that in my ZSH, in my home ZSH. That's fine. There's nothing private here. So I'm going to put that. And then that is an alias. I'm creating an alias in this terminal because by hand. And now I do a keys. And then boom, he asks me this. Enter my stuff. I don't know what there's two. And then I do my env grep. And then voila. And that is magic. Because now I can use my keychain or whatever. I have this little hack here, which is fine because I still need to enter my password. And then it's injected into my terminal. So any terminal I have, and even if I have an external terminal, new terminal over there. Okay, that has nothing to do. You can go to any directory, I guess. And then if I do a env grep jc, I see nobody. Now I'm going to have to do this guy. Okay. And that will have my A keys. And now I can do A keys. I will give me one guy, two guys. This is a question here, I think. And now I can do the env grep. And then boom, I have that up. And so I put JC underscore here because I have my API keys and I wanted to be able to not be confused of who put what. But you can have anything. This is what you put in your password. And so now that we have this, we need to discuss why it does two. So perhaps in my JC key, my JC API keys didn't put two. I'm not sure why he asked as a password twice. But I think it's okay. I think probably the first one you can say always allow. And then the second one we can do that. So what we could do here, we're going to do that. So now the question is, what do we do if it doesn't work? And I think the error is fine. Right now it's ugly, but it's fine. And then, the user will see we're sourcing something. Well, then after we wouldn't know what we source, yeah. So what we can do is actually we can do that. So one of the reasons why, so for example, if we do a get, we're going to do a cargo watch, and we're going to do this one and that, and then it's no entry. And so the question is that a bad thing if we source that? And I think the answer is no. However, we could have the argument to say, hey, what about displaying here? So can we display? So I'm a big fan again of this guy, because that is a display. And then we can do a display like that. That will implement the display. Keyring error. And then I'm going to do, I think is _0. I think that's the way it works. No? Yeah. So that's interesting. Why it doesn't error keyring? You should take this one, no? We're going to display here to see custom. Okay, epic fail. Why? Why? I don't understand why this one got printed over there. So get command. This is a new. So we're going to do a map air. We're going to format that like that. Up. Okay. Okay. That there's something I don't understand is why match command get. Why does it debug? Oh, it does a debug because yeah, we are exceeding the whole application. And so I think the one, whatever Rusty is, when you exceed the main and you have an error, I think they do a debug print, they don't do a display. I think that is the problem. So I think is what we can do to validate this assumption, and what I will do anyway, is that I will actually move. So usually what I like to do is something like that. And the naming between exact and not exact is not really clear, but I will do an exact. I will do what I will do. Yeah, I will do a match exactly, and then I will give the CLI. And that I will have a OK. And if there's a OK over there, I don't care what I get. And I'm going to do void, which I might do a if less error later, and then error. And that is where I'm going to say println. I'm going to do a println for now. And then and now I can do the error. So that will be the display. And now what I'm going to do is fn exec CLI. That will return a result of void. And then I will put the things there. That is what I will do. So this way I don't have println. That's fair. Match CLI. There's only one guy. I want, okay. That's it. Cool. So now we got control back, and that is a good practice usually. So when you start the development, I do that. I do exactly what I did. I start the development like that, but then what you want is to have the control of your destiny in a way, in your main, such as you might not want to return error actually there. We do that. Yeah. So in this case, I'm sorry. That might be. I often have error in my case because I'm kind of lazy. Sometimes I have a question mark there. But this is kind of almost like a better way, because then you know that will return the stuff. Then you will need, I mean, if in theory, what we should do is we should print the error and we should do status. So we're going to go back to command here, back to ChatGPT, no shame, in Rust, in main stuff, how to say exit error. So exit with error code 1, or we can do like that. Yeah, either way. So we're going to do that. can do two ways. I'm not set on one or the other. Now, if you go with Clippy on this guy, it should complain. Our friend Clippy should complain over there because so now it's time to comment this guy out. It's not complaining too much somehow. But typically he will complain here because he will say, hey, you don't need this. You just need this. So we'll do a if let air. So I'm not sure why he didn't complain. Often he complained like that. Because if it's okay, it's fine. We're all good. If it's not, we're doing things. So usually Clippy is going to complain when you do a match and you don't manage one. But there may be a good reason why he didn't do it there. And then that's it. And I think with this, so that is the error here, not machine entry found. And question here that I have in my head is, when I execute this guy, there will be, so obviously we are throwing the error back. So the thing I'm saying is say, well, will there be a value to say which service account and account name we are using? And the answer is yes, because otherwise you have no clue of what's going on. The other thing that goes through my head when you play with passwords to say, well, will there be an opportunity for the user to somehow put the password there? And I think the answer is no, because we do like a key click get, and then you put the password on get, then it has bigger problem. And that is the thing, yeah, because sometimes when you do a cloud application and stuff, you want to make sure you think twice when you log things in your trace that you don't log the wrong thing. So for a long time, when I was doing cloud application, the healthcare stuff, there's stuff where should I log? So obviously, if the user enters the wrong username password, I don't trace the password that he entered, obviously, yeah, because it could be a Facebook password or a Gmail password. I don't want that in my logs. Now, should I also not log the username? Because sometimes silly users like myself, I did it probably a handful of times. I don't know why. I put a password in my username. And so now people has one password of my username, which might or might not be of this service in clear. And so if you store the password, it's tricky. If you store the username when it's fair, it's kind of tricky. But at the same time, if you don't, that's good information to have to be able to say to the user, hey, you have issues. So always tricky. So in a way, you want to check that the user exists and log it only if it exists in a way. Trace it. I don't know where I digress here. So the question here is, should we add more information to the log when it fails? So here, for example, it's going to fail. It's going to say, we have these things, no matching entry found in secure storage. We have no clue of what's going on, might be our things and stuff. So that's not super nice. And that is where we want to give more context in the error. And so the cheap way here to do that will be with a map error format. And that will be something like that. So that will go back to custom. Remember, because I have the custom guy. So I'll say no matching entry found for and service account. I'm going to say slash because the service account and account name, I think is a thing of keyring, but it's not really clear in KeyChain and so on. So this kind of this two level, which apparently everybody has. Account name. So I'm going to do that, and I don't need two. I don't know when I do the map error, and forgot a C here. And the question here is, do I need this other guy? And I don't. So I'm going to put it like that. Okay. So that's it. Custom, no control form. And then I have the custom because put the custom there. I don't need that. So if I remove that, we should have a nice error, no stuff. And then this error dash, I always like to double check, is come from here. From here. That's error dash. Okay. Perhaps I can say, to make sure that I know it's me, quickly error, something like that. So like this, I know it's something. I have one less question I'm asking myself. And then no matching. This stuff is driving me crazy. And then no matching entry found for this guy. That's pretty cool. And that is because if I put 1, that will work. Yeah. Okay, that works very nicely. And that's it. So I think if you have any question, feel free to, that was a cool, it looks deceptively simple, but if you are on Mac, Windows, I'm not fully sure, but if you're on Mac, this can be very useful. I mean, I use it all the time. And now I'm going to move from my J keys to my A keys in a way. And so usage, install it, KeyChain, below command to open KeyChain. And then we're going to say for KeyChain, what you do is create for example, AI API keys. Okay, create AI keys. So I think we're going to go. Someone know about VS Code here. Someone in VS Code. I don't know what they're doing with that, but it's super annoying. And so when you press here, what is it called? So KeyChain item name. KeyChain password. And then we're going to do something like that. Item name. And then so we'll do the AI keys. And then the one will be default keys. Okay. And this is actually what I'm going to use. I'm not going to copy paste my keys over there because I don't want to show that. But I'm going to have something like that. It's fine. I'm going to put these guys. Okay. Account name. We put that to default keys. And then we'll put that like that. Then password. Text below. Okay, so that will be that. And then in the, so I don't know, my little, in your .zsh, in the bash zsh, I'll have the following alias. And then you are going to set up something like that, where you are going to do that. Default keys. And then you put AI guy, this guy, default keys, this guy. And the cool thing is, if you want to create another guy, I will put it in AI key. I'm going to change to this taxonomy actually. And then I will do, you know, if I have a client, for example, you know, I have a client, whatever, and I will put it there. And now I have those keys into the things where I will put, you know, another alias like that, and then that's it. So that is pretty cool. Any question? Feel free to ask. I think we are done with this kind of a live stream. This is what I wanted to show today. And yeah, I'm going to do a commit. Git add. I'm going to make sure that I don't have any debug print. That's my way of making sure. And then git C, first pass. I'm not going to do a cargo publish because this one is too much of a hack in a way. But what I can do it for you guys, and we're going to do it live because in any way, this is kind of the theme, I guess. I'm going to go to my GitHub repo. My question in my head is, do I put it in GitHub Jamie Chon channel or Jamie Chon? This is more like a rare crate that I'm using. So we're going to do a new. I'm going to do a Rust key, CLI, simple CLI to get, to print. Password from the OS KeyChain, only Mac KeyChain. Okay. And then I'm going to do create repository. Oh, choose another. I have way too many guys. Create. Do that. And then I'm going to go there. And I like to have the Rust prefix all the time. Now, I guess 90% of what I do is Rust, so this is kind of a little bit redundant, but git remote add. And then I'm going to do a git push like that. And then one thing that I like to do, which is a little bit silly, but is actually useful, is in my README, I like to put, I do a BR like that, such as this kind of this and this repo. Because otherwise, I always lose a few minutes to go and look for stuff. And then that's it. Git C, date README. I mean, actually, here, to be honest, I will do a git amend, which is not very git push origin force. Don't do that, but here, nobody had it anyway. So that's it. And that is the repo. I'm putting it in the chat. I will put it in the description as well. And hopefully that was a good session for everybody. And we'll do more of those. Feel free to join the Discord, join the what the name? The YouTube channel for office hours and early access. Very cool video coming on Saturday morning for everybody, and it's going to be about the Redis stream and everything. So I took the whole live 3 hours and I put it in 30 minutes, and it's going to be pretty cool. And until next one, happy coding.